Hey everybody, welcome. It is Wednesday night. It's pretty darn late for me, but not really, because I'm just getting started. And I was telling Velma just before we got on, because I wind up and get wired and get going right about 9:30 p.m. every night, and I rock and roll. And so we're going to talk tonight about what to do when you don't know what to do. And I'd like for y'all to help me welcome Velma Gallant with me here on the live. I think you maybe have seen her a couple of times. And I have good old kitty cat Slider here joining me for the live. This is Slider. He's my son's orange tabby. I'm getting lots of help from all the dogs and the cats and everybody walking in. So give us a hi if you're out there. Give us a hello. Give us some encouragement, because we're going to talk about what do you do when you're stuck? What do you do when you don't know what to do? I like that topic. It was Velma's suggestion, by the way, because life and business does that a lot.
It does. It does. And sometimes I find it's I don't know where to start, or I've got too many things on my plate and I don't know which one I want to do or which one's more important, how to prioritize them. So I know for me, I get in that place quite regularly. As it happened today, I had things coming from all angles, felt like I was getting kind of pushed around, and it was like, okay, which one of these things do I pick up first?
Right. And what things can I let go because I don't need to be doing those things? What's important, what's not important, what's just urgent but not really important. And you talk about the quadrants,
right?
What's important and urgent. Okay, what's less important, less urgent, but then you've got those things that are urgent that are really not important at all, and sometimes I just let them go. And it's interesting how sometimes we will prioritize things differently depending on personality, depending on our values, depending on how long we've been in business. There's a lot of different ways to prioritize and decide what to do. So what do you do when you've got a million things coming at you at once, Velma?
Well, today what I did is I actually took my lunch break and I went for a 45, almost 50-minute walk. I walked away to kind of ground myself so that I could come back and look at everything with fresh eyes.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And I mean, I find that for me, I do the same thing many times. I will, if there's too many things coming at me at once, I am not the person who's going to just snap off a response in a meeting or whatever. And I am never that person who, if I see an email come in or a text come in or whatever, I'm probably not going to respond real quick. And in fact, the more inflammatory it is, the longer it may take me to respond. And sometimes I'm not going to respond at all.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, because I know myself, I've shared with you what my why is, and that's a contributor. So in my life, I've been a yes girl, which puts a lot of things onto my list, right? And then I end up burning the candle at both ends, and I say yes to things that are not important to me or my goals. They're somebody else's priority, right? Things like that. And sometimes it really is about discerning, is it mine? Is it mine to take on? How many things on my plate are not mine?
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, there's always that, is this taking me closer to my goal or further from my goal? Is always an interesting question, right? Because there's times where there are things that we have to do in life and in business that take us seemingly further from it, but actually are getting us closer. And the perfect example is, reorganizing a closet. The first thing you have to do when you reorganize your closet is pretty much take everything out and figure out what you've got. And if you don't know what you've got, you can't reorganize it. And I mean, it's the same if you're doing a website, or it's the same with many projects. Just organizing a closet's an easy one, right? And you get to that halfway point where you've taken everything out of the closet and it looks like a total tornado has gone through the entire house, because it's amazing how much crap will fit in a single closet. It is simply stunning. I am absolutely convinced that things in closets multiply when we're not looking.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. They breed.
They do. They really do. I'm like, I don't remember having 96 handbags or 83 pairs of shoes.
Oh, I remember
What
those.
happened, right? And then you keep pulling it out, and it's like, oh my God, how do I have 23 scarves and 96 pairs of gloves? And it's that, oh my gosh, right? And it keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. So sometimes you have to make a mess to get it to where it needs to be. But also in that process, for me, it is a process of, oh crap, I do have 73 scarves in here and 96 elephants and 3 orange cats. And, they start coming out and you're like, oh, I can let go of some of the stuff.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, this weekend, I took a box to the thrift store. I'd actually, totally transparent, that box had been sitting there for 3 months waiting to be delivered. And finally it was just, I need to get it out of my space so that I can feel open again.
Absolutely. And purging is key. Absolutely, Cindy. And, for me, one of the things I'm doing, my kids are all out of the house-ish right now. With the threat of boomeranging, I mean, with the real reality that at least one of them or two of them will probably boomerang for some period of time. And one of the things we've been doing this summer, we had a foreign exchange student last year, and she was in my son's room. So when she moved into my son's room, it was midway through the school year. He was gone, and we literally took all of his stuff and threw it into boxes and bins and got it out of her way. And poor kid slept on the couch the entire school year. And he was actually a real sport about it. He didn't complain. And when she left, he was actually out of town. He was actually at Philmont on a 2-week hike. And so I took that opportunity to take all of his stuff and reorganize it. Not in a mean way. I wasn't getting rid of all of his prized tchotchkes. I was moving everything back into his room. But I was also separating the boarding school stuff from the not boarding school stuff so that he had a set place for the boarding school stuff, so that it wasn't taking over his whole room when he was at home, and he could just put it away. So I got him enough bins to contain all of the boarding school stuff, and he never had to see it, if he didn't want to.
Yeah.
And it was in a corner of his closet. But part of what we're doing is, reorganizing, and it's like, holy crap, how in the world did I end up with another literally 23 sets of twin sheets? And it takes time to go through and figure out, oh, those are all twin sheets, not full queen king. So we need to, purge and eliminate. And it's that figuring out, what do we need? How are we going to keep it? What makes sense? How does this make sense? Where does it make sense? And really focusing on that. And yes, I do have a puppy. Now, after the orange cat, I do have a 11-month-old puppy come running through looking for treats.
Well, they're just like regular kids. You're on the phone. Oh, mom, mom, mom.
mom, right? Yeah, I exchanged children for pets, and she just walked off with the cat treat box, which is fortunately empty. But anyway, and this is life, and life happens, and you get these constant interrupts. So I'm cleaning the closet, and oh, by the way, the dog is tearing up something, or whatever. And this is real, y'all. Part of that is figuring out what's the most important thing. What do I need to react to right now? What do I need to deal with right now? I look over here. I see that the dog really can't do any damage with an empty plastic Tupperware bin. You know, she might chew it, but it was going out in the recycling anyway. So I'm not going to react to that right now. I'm not going to deal with that particular input. And I find that that is analogous to business as well. I mean, it's a stupid dog with a cat, you know, with the cat treats kind of thing. But for me, it is that, okay, I have 3 things coming in. Do I have to actually respond to any of these right now? Which ones do I have to actually respond to? Which ones can I respond to quickly? If I can just pop it off my list quickly, like for my clients who have web maintenance services, right? When I get that email in, I set aside time when I'm checking my email. I just go through and I make that update on the website. Poof, done, back, here you go.
Yep.
And it doesn't take extra time. But it's that knowing, you know, how long is this thing going to take me, prioritizing it. And if it's going to be more than X amount of time, putting it onto the calendar as an appointment to do that thing.
It makes me wonder too, you were making that, you know, the reference regarding the closet and emptying things out and deciding what to keep and stuff like that. I wonder how many things on our to-do list could probably be purged.
A lot. I find that there are a lot of programs that we sign up for, a lot of things that we do to ourselves in our businesses, a lot of systems that we do, a lot of things that we try to do in our businesses that don't, in lives, you know, I can apply it to life or I can apply it to business, but you know, I find that we end up doing a lot of things that we don't necessarily need to do to ourselves. Whether it's things that introduce decision fatigue, or, you know, it's just things that we don't really, truly have to be doing. It could be participating on a particular social media platform. It could be sending out emails. It could be any of lots of different tasks, and we need to figure out how important is it that this task actually be done in our business, because one of the things that I've found is that there's always more tasks than there are time to do it in, and there's always a million ideas of things to do, and not enough time or money to do them in.
I know for me, one of the things that has overloaded my to-do list has been FOMO, fear of missing out. I don't know how many times I've said yes to things that I felt were exciting and I could logically justify why I should be doing that, only to find that adding one more FOMO item actually put me farther behind, and I didn't end up achieving as much as I could have if I'd have said no.
Well, and I've been taking a cold hard look at things I'm doing in my business. Is this networking meeting producing a return on my investment? And looking at the amount of gas I'm using to drive to that networking meeting. How much time is it taking me to go there, be there, drive back, follow up with people, do my one-to-ones, do all the things? If it's a lunch meeting, I'm paying for lunch as well. So I have to factor that into my equation. If I'm not making X amount of money every single week, then I'm not paying for my time to do it. And I need to factor in my time, right? And so one of the things that's been a little bit isolating for me this year, but also a little bit liberating, has been saying, you know, this activity, while it's fun, isn't leading me closer to my goal. It's not paying for itself. It's not bringing in referrals. It's not doing whatever. And so getting really clear and measuring results, and I have another dog under my feet, and I accidentally just bumped her with my other foot. But getting really clear on, you know, how important is this thing to my life, to my business, right? Am I doing all the things? Am I following up with people for networking events, gather addresses, and send a nice to meet you card? Yeah. And scheduling one-to-ones with people, right? So networking done right is actually somewhat time consuming. Are you networking in the right room? Do these people even have the budget to buy my services? Am I even in the right space? Do they even want to buy what I have? Yeah. Getting clear
Yeah,
and measuring results.
I agree with that, because that really points to one of the things that you said that really made a lot of sense to me was, is this activity paying for itself? Not even looking at it so much as, is this activity adding to my bottom line, but is it at least even paying for itself? Because how many of those activities do we participate in that we don't really receive anything of any value out of it? And I'm not necessarily saying this that it has to be dollars, but am I making the right kinds of connections there? That kind of thing.
Right. If I sell websites, and I build a lot of websites, and we do a lot of social media management, SEO, funnels, all the things, ads. But if I'm hanging out in a room with entrepreneurs who have no budget, if you can't afford to pay for services, and I only offer paid for services, maybe that's not my room. Maybe I either need to change my services or change my room. And it's just important to look at, is this doing what it needs to do? Is this important? Or does this just seem like it's important?
Like
the wolf in sheep's clothing, right?
Does it seem important? And that brings another question. Are we using some of these things as distractions?
I think a lot of times social media is a huge distraction. I think it can be tremendously profitable. And I think it can also be a huge distraction and detraction from your business.
I think a lot of us, and I know I've done this, have used activities, busy work, as a way to justify why I'm not where I want to be. Or
Absolutely.
why I'm not doing the activities that I really should be doing.
Well, and the other thing I see a lot of times is this, and I'll explain my reasoning behind it. I've been in the online space for 8 or 9 years now. A while, a hot minute. I've seen a lot of business owners, a lot of coaches get stuck on, I don't have a website. I don't have a funnel. I don't have a way to do ads. I don't have, right? So therefore I can't do business. And I actually call bullshit on that, because I've been approached by so many coaches to redo a website for the umpteenth time, and they're still not getting sales. And they're convinced that if they just edit the copy on the website one more time, they're going to start getting sales. The reality is that that's not what's preventing you from getting sales. And in fact, as a digital marketer, there have been points in my business where I've not actually had a website. Y'all can be shocked. Well, she was helping herself. The reality is there is such a thing as a minimally viable product. You can sell coaching services or services person to person, belly to belly, through direct messages. And she's causing havoc over there now. And you can, if somebody asks you for information, you can send them a PDF of your services, nicely laid out in something like Canva. And you can follow up with them through a sales process. And when they're ready to buy, you can send them an invoice through either QuickBooks or Wave or PayPal or Square or Stripe or any of them. No fancy website necessary. And this is coming from somebody who builds websites. I build several websites a month. I have clients. All of my clients get website maintenance and updates and all the things. And it's not that I don't think that a website has a place in your business, But if you're not at that point where you're getting sales, then why are we spending thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours building the Blinken thing when you haven't even gotten sales yet?
Or when you're not clear. Obviously, if they're redoing websites, they're not super clear on what it is they're selling.
Right. And then I'm taking money from somebody, which I honestly refuse to do.
Mm-hmm.
On, I'm not clear on it. So why am I doing this again? And that's one of those activities that I see a lot of entrepreneurs really get themselves stuck in. Oh, I'm still building my website. Oh, I'm still editing my book. I can't launch until I do my book. I can't launch until I do my whatever. I can't launch until I build my funnel. I can't launch until I do my big workshop. Get out there and talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that fear of talking to people and doing the activities that actually require engagement.
And that comes back what to do when you don't know what to do. Sometimes we end up doing those things that we don't really need to be doing, so we at least feel like we're moving forward, or we
right. And that's
feel like we're in movement, even though, you know how it is, like with some, I don't know about your husband, but there's been some fellas that I have dated where they'd sooner take 2 hours on a long route where they're moving than to wait the 15 minutes to go where they need to go. So it actually takes longer for them to get there, but they felt better because they were moving versus waiting and then getting there sooner.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's human behavior, but yes, that is my husband. But I mean, I know that a lot of this is hard, right? And it's scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The simplest stuff is the scariest. The easiest stuff, the simplest stuff, the just stuff is always the hardest. And the most complicated and the most difficult. And yes, that's another cat. Are y'all counting anybody? Have you counted how many cats have gone by since we've been going on live here? And dogs.
I've only seen 2. I saw the orange one first because you introduced him. I used to have an orange one. His name was Alfonso.
Oh,
yeah.
This is Jinx. And, and then for fun, most of us have had to work another job while we're working a business. Most of us have had to do other things like raise kids. Mm-hmm. I've had my own fair share of 3-ring circus. We can talk about that some other time. My family situation, kid with a traumatic brain injury and psychiatric issues. We all have our stories, our things, our distractions.
Yeah.
The house needed cleaning. Really, it did. Let me just say that when I was doing my MBA at Duke, my bathroom had never been so clean. Particularly when I was taking financial accounting. Procrastination, baby. I'd rather scrub toilets than do T accounts and T charts.
Okay, I get it. That, and that does point to the going the long route just because we're moving, right? Versus the short route, even though it might take a little bit of work or patience.
Yeah. Anybody else ever done that? Oh, look, I need to clean the dishes. That sink needed to be shined. It needed it, right? And the trash needed taking out.
Yep.
This afternoon, I actually needed to do it, but I needed to work on something else as well. But our outdoor trash can got washed and scrubbed and sanitized. And yeah, we all do it.
Mm-hmm. My dishes got left to this morning because I had some other activities that I discerned were important within my business. And so the dishes did get left.
That's good.
To be done this morning. But that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, well, dishes are kind of one of those things that keep coming, right?
Right. yeah, eventually they have to get done no matter what. So, and I don't have a dishwasher, so I do have to do them.
I have a dishwasher. It's my husband. True story. I'm not allowed to do laundry anymore. And I haven't done laundry in 30 years. And I am more or less on strike from doing dishes. I will do dishes while I'm in the kitchen, but I don't typically do them afterwards because my husband restacked the dishwasher one too many times after I did it. And I was like, okay, fine. The dishwasher is yours.
I might have done that before.
I'm a really lousy wife. I'm amazed he puts up with me. But, you know, it's just what do you do when you don't know what to do? Take a step back.
Yeah. I know that's one of the most, even if it is getting up and walking into my kitchen and getting a glass of water. Sometimes that's the right amount of pause. You know, I wrote it down this morning. I'm gonna have to send you this one. Sometimes it's that pause or that breath that turns it from impossible into I'm possible.
Mm-hmm. Punctuation, right?
Mm-hmm. And
it's all in the punctuation. Yeah, it is. It's really an inside job. Business is so much of an inside job. That's the hard part with it. You know, it's that inside job to get yourself to actually do the things you've got to do.
Mm-hmm. That is very true.
And as an introvert, and as somebody who wants to solve all the problems and make sense out of things and be everybody's friend and be helpful and be of service. Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yep. And because we're both kind of ladies that like to do things differently. I don't want to do it normal. What's normal?
Normal? I don't do normal.
I don't do normal. Yeah. No, definitely don't. No, so I think this was a great topic tonight. Sometimes.
Thank you so much.
The best way to get what we need done is to make sure that we're taking a break and looking at it every once in a while rather than just burrowing our way through it mindlessly.
Yeah. Get out of the weeds, if only for a brief second.
Yep.
And then come back at it. But don't procrastinate for too long.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I can't wait to see what other people, I mean, we've had a few comments come in while we've been on here, but we'll see what other people say after.
Let us know what you think. Let us know what your tips are. I would love to see. Thank you guys. Have a awesome night. And thank you, Velma, for joining me tonight and joining me. And it's been a lot of fun. Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.